Philippines, Aguinaldo's insurgents had no promises of independence, no Teller Amendment.
In 1519, the Portuguese navigator Ferdinand Magellan sailed in the service of Spain to seek a new route to the Spice Islands of the East Indies. After a 3-month voyage across the Atlantic, Magellan's fleet of 5 ships made a landfall on the coast of Brazil. Exploring southward, the expedition spent the winter in a sheltered bay on the coast of Patagonia, where Magellan suppressed an attempted mutiny and executed the captain of one of the ships. The voyage was resumed in the spring, but one vessel ran aground and had to be abandoned, its crews spread among the rest of the fleet. In October, Magellan entered the straits that were later to bear his name. One ship deserted the fleet, but the expedition completed the passage and emerged into the Pacific Ocean in November 1520. Sailing north along the coast and then westward, the fleet headed out into the unknown ocean. They crossed the equator and made a landfall on Guam, one of the Mariana Islands, in March 1521. Reaching the Philippines in April, Magellan and 40 of his men were killed when they became involved in the local war. The remaining crewmen abandoned one vessel and spent the next several months raiding passing ships. In September, Juan Sebastian del Cano assumed command of the voyage, and the 2 remaining ships, the Trinidad and the Victoria, sailed to the Moluccas Islands to trade for spices. The heavily laden Trinidad ran aground and was left behind to make repairs, but the crew were later captured by the Portuguese and imprisoned. The lone Victoria continued the journey westward. The Cape of Good Hope was rounded in May 1522, and the ship returned to Spain the following September. The original crews of 270 men were...
In August 1899, the U.S. commander in Manila requested 60,000 reinforcements, quadrupling the size of U.S. forces in the Philippines. Aguinaldo ordered his officers to begin a guerrilla war.
It involved men without uniforms, so they would be able to fade into civilian populations very, very quickly. It involved surprise attacks, raids, without warning. Some of the Filipinos would even wear women's clothing at times to be able to get behind American lines and then hit from the back.
And the way the fighting went on was just utterly...
The body count in the Philippines worried President McKinley. 3,000 Americans and 15,000 Filipinos had been killed. U.S. generals in Manila were ordered to censor reporters' dispatches that contained any unfavorable news.
American reporters in the Philippines blamed the generals, not the president, for this censorship and their inability to get a lot of this news out. So by the early part of 1900, McKinley was in much better shape politically than he should have been, given the number of casualties and the amount of atrocities that were going on in the Philippine Revolution.